Hello dear guys, this is Anil Kumar Shrivastava from Mobishala. My Mobishala app is AKCS2121. We are discussing 2019 GS paper 2 asked in the mains, that is written examination by the UPSC. Look at this. It's GS mains paper 2 2019 asked in the civil services mains examination by the UPSC. We are discussing this. We have already finished our discussion on first 5 questions. Let me discuss the 6th question. Despite consistent experience of high growth, India still goes with the lowest indicators of human development. It is a contrast. There is high growth, economic growth, but lowest superlative use of superlative of human development. Here, you should on one hand show India's economic development, especially after 1991 when Narasimha Rao introduced LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. It is popularly known as economic reforms, big economic reform package or ticket. In fact, it was an industrial policy resolution of 1991 which virtually reversed the earlier industrial policy resolution of 1956 announced by Pandit Nehru's government. So, and thereafter examine. Here you not only have to show the issues that make balanced and inclusive development elusive, but also suggest measures. In other words, first introduce the topic saying that development, economic development, in fact, is the means to human development. But if economic development does not lead to human development, it means there is a serious, flaws in the economic and political system. In other words, you will have to make the contrast in the introduction itself and thereafter expand the topic. So, let us try to write the answer. Introduction. You need not write this. Introduction. Economic development, that is ED, is considered a means to the ends, that is human development. Or rather make both capital. Human development. Here also economic development. Human development, that is HD. However, in India, especially since 1991, when big ticket economic reforms were introduced there has been wide gaps between the ED and HD. It has been due to serious flaws in policy making and its implementation. We would try to examine it. After writing this, that you have written the introduction, thereafter come to the second para and expand the topic. Here you should show say how India has grown rapidly since 1991 in economic terms. India has grown rapidly since 1991 say in terms of both industrial and non-industrial development, economic development. Industrial development has been witnessed or registered around 7%, 6 point more, say more than 6%, what I mean to say, while say economic development, the measured in terms of per capita GDP has too been not less than this, that is around 7%. But due to serious policy flaws and its implementation flaws, say India has not been able to achieve good results on human development front, especially on health and education fronts. So right, India is an emerging economy. Say you can further break the para, and here you can give the data, say more data. India is an emerging economy like that of China, like that of Brazil, like that of South Africa, majority of which are the members of the BRICS. But India fares very badly when it comes to human development, say among this grouping of 5 countries. For example, China ranks at 90th, say in overall economic development and human development, you can say. Better you should use the term human development. China ranks at the 90th, followed by Brazil, which ranks at the 79th, further followed by Russia, which ranks at 49th, and South Africa 119th. Whereas India is far behind this. India's human development index is lower, even lower than Sri Lanka, and it hovers around 130. Say for example, out of 189 countries last year, India ranked 130th. So India's rank is lower than even Sri Lanka. Say in fact, insofar as South Asia is concerned, it is lower than Bhutan and even Bangladesh, and sometimes it goes down, say in comparison to Pakistan and Nepal as well. I would like to tell you that only Afghanistan sometimes takes better of India, or sometimes it falls below this one. It has been because of the internecine war that is going on there, and it would go further after the takeover of Afghanistan by Taliban, by the subversive forces, terrorist organizations. Issues that make balanced and inclusive development elusive, that is, it is not realized, rather it runs away from us. It is a fleeting one. Number one, jobless growth. According to CMIE, despite the fact that India has been registering on average an annual growth rate of around 7%, India's unemployment rate has also been around the same. And during corona pandemic, in fact, due to the migrant workers losing their job and so many other professionals losing their job, those who were associated with hotel industry, tourism industry, say real estate, in fact, several of them lost their jobs. So according to the CMIE, earlier it has been around 6%, 5 to 6%, which has been very, very high. But after COVID-19, it has gone up to double digit with around 14 crore youth say either in search of job or they have lost a job. CMI, Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy. This way you can write the data. Secondly, it is uneven growth. In fact, growth across regions has been very different. For example, in Western UP, data, especially economic data, suggests that people living in Western UP are much richer than those living in East UP. Similar thing happens with other states too. However, as a total state, Haryana, Goa, Maharashtra, all such states, in fact even Tamil Nadu, have all such states are faring better, far, far better than UP, Bihar, Odisha, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, etc. Despite the fact that, Bihar registered an economic growth of around, 12%, 12 to 14% during the first chief ministership of current chief minister of Bihar, that is Nitish Kumar. He became chief minister in 2005 there, and he had been there insofar as the first leg of his rule is concerned, up to 9. In 9 again, elections were held, and in 2015, again, in fact, it was held in 2010 because from 5 to 10, he came to power in 2005. In 2010, elections were held to the State Assembly, and further general elections to the State Assembly were held in 2015 and recently in 2020. But insofar as his first leg is concerned, it was appreciable, it was commendable, perhaps outstanding, or you can say excellent as well, as it not only registered a growth rate of around 12% or more than 12%, in fact, it had been the fastest growing economy among Indian states in India. What I mean to say, in certain quarters, it registered a growth rate of 14%. But it could not sustain the similar trend, and a similar condition is with other states, Bimaru states especially. That's why they often lag behind the advanced state, which sometimes register a growth rate of more than 8%, like the state of Haryana, the state of state of Goa, state of Maharashtra, state of Tamil Nadu. All such states, in fact, register annual growth rate between 6 to 8%. So, if there would be uneven economic growth, it would certainly impact the quality of life measured in terms of health and education of the poorer areas. Similarly, agriculture sector, India is predominantly an agricultural economy. So, insofar as agriculture sector is concerned, there too had been uneven development over the last 25 years. This happened since 1967. I would like to tell you, in fact, not only 25, almost 54 years since 1967, when the first Green Revolution was introduced. Several states benefited hugely from the first Green Revolution, because of the adequate amount of availability of adequate amount of water for irrigation, availability of adequate amount of fertilizer, availability of adequate amount of other paraphernalia like seed and others. So they benefited hugely from this one, and that's why farmers from Punjab, Haryana and Western UP in fact took maximum benefit from this. However, farmers from Eastern UP, larger part of Rajasthan, and other states like Bihar, Odisha, etc., they received scant amount towards their agricultural development, because the state governments were not that much richer or that much, you can say, affluent in helping or in setting aside huge amount for the development of agriculture. Marginalized sections did not benefit from government reforms. Between 1993, 1994 and 2003 and 2004, in fact, the wealth of the 8% Indian Amir, that is richest Indians of the time, during that period, it grew almost by 8-fold. But during the same period, the poorer sections whose dependence is mainly on routine jobs performed on a routine basis, non-government jobs, what I mean to say, they struggle to manage their 2 square meal, etc. Their income, instead of rising, it declined. In fact, it created a huge gap between the rich and the poor, so much so that later it was criticized by several foreign economists, Nobel laureates like Joseph E. Stiglitz, like Professor Amartya Sen, etc. I would like to tell you that here in India, too, this has been criticized by many former economists or former luminaries of the field, like Arvind Subramaniam. In fact, Arvind Subramaniam and former governor of RBI, that is Raghuram Rajan, wrote a book in a research paper. It was in fact a research paper that was published in 2007 about China, which was termed a powerhouse then. So in comparison to China, in fact, India has not been able to even out the benefits among all populace, all section of the populace. Rather, its larger lion's share has gone to the pockets of the rich, the politicians in cahoot with bureaucrats, mafias, contractors, etc. So this way things did not happen. Even in 2007, I would like to tell you, when Narasimha Rao government implemented Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, since then there has been a wide disparity between agricultural holdings or agricultural income of the, in fact, it related to increasing the productivity between the rich and the poor. In fact, disguised unemployment, which is a key feature of the Indian unemployment scene, is found mainly in agriculture in India. I would like to tell you, another issue in India is the predominant role played by the patriarch of the family. Since say they dictate their terms and the entire family members to his line, or in fact obey his line. So what happens in the process that say women are reduced to mere say puppet within the four walls of the household, and they are not allowed to have any say in the management of the household finances. Moreover, they are not allowed to walk out of the home even in several societies and work and earn money. I would like to tell you that because of this one, patriarchy, say as much as 50% of malnutrition in fact is caused among a girl child, because they are given scant attention by the family members in comparison to their male counterparts. And besides all of these things, in fact, management of food basket in India has too been very poor. I would like to tell you, food security in India has not occupied the center stage of policymaker, despite two ladies dying in Jharkhand, say 4 years back, of hunger. So I would like to tell you that India say produces enough. India does not suffer from the lack of food grains, but due to poor implementation policy and poor say infrastructure and corruption, say these things happen. It happens due to the poor water, poor sanitation facilities, and poor unhygienic practices. It also happens because of these things. I would like to tell you, lack of government expenditure on education and health has been one of the major roadblocks, say on the way to achieving the fuller goal of the human development. I would like to tell you, on education, the government spends a little over 3%, while on health earlier it had been spending less than 1.5%. Recently, in 2017, when JP Nadda was Union Health Minister, the government came out with a new health policy in which it attempted, or it promised, to spend 2.5% of the GDP on health by 2025. I would like to tell you that the onset of corona or COVID-19 has exposed the chinks in the armor of the government. In fact, several people died due to the lack of health infrastructure like oxygen and others, especially in the second wave that hit across India and claimed maximum fatalities. So, these are some of the problems from which in fact Indian system suffers, and it is because of these factors that we experience consistently high in fact growth rate on one hand, while the lowest human development scenario on the other. Now, coming to the some suggestions to improve upon those things. First, it cannot possibly envisage a long and healthy life without addressing the issue of malnutrition. Malnutrition, in fact, is the biggest challenge in India, and it must be addressed. Still, India is home to the largest number of malnourished children of the world. Around 44% malnourished children of the world live here in India. Secondly, in terms of knowledge, India needs to ensure access and quality through the effective implementation of schemes such as Digital India and Skill India. In fact, digital literacy has to be spread, enabling people to get aware of the various schemes and programs being put in place and of various benefits offered by the government to them. Third, eliminating or eradication of corruption in tune with the suggestions of the second 5-year plan. say one of which certainly relate to the constitution of a Rashtriya Lokayug. Right now, Lokpal has already been constituted. Further, people awareness, strict rule implementation, monitoring system, evaluation system, feedback mechanism, all these things have to be bettered and toned up so that the corrupt officials could be taken to task. Indian government must also focus on improving quality and access to education. I would like to tell you in the new education policy, the government has attempted to in fact bring in the vocational element so that even someone is a dropout of the graduation, or at the graduate level someone is a dropout, and if he has completed his 3 years or 2 years of 3 years of course, in fact he would still get a diploma. Yes, after 4 years he would get a degree, that is technical degree, which would be equivalent to BTech and others, and on the basis of that one he could be provided jobs. Policymakers and government officials need to work on agriculture productivity and improving infrastructure in rural areas like irrigation, providing irrigation facilities, 24/7 power supply, and other things, for example, easy access to the availability of fertilizer, seeds, etc., insecticides, what I mean to say, at the local level. Further, efforts need to be made to tone up the primary healthcare facilities, community healthcare facilities, and tertiary healthcare facilities. I would like to tell you that in the last concluded saying that a former chairperson of the CACP, Mahendra Singh, Commission for Agricultural Cost and Price, in fact are popularly known as Agricultural Price Commission, APC, he writes that inclusive growth in India is possible only if the marginalized sections are brought to join the mainstream of development. So how to bring this one? It could be done through multifarious ways, by providing them education, by empowering them to make decisions, by enabling them to get access to various opportunities that the government in fact has launched, eliminating intra-caste, inter-caste, inter-class, intra-class disparities, inter-regional, intra-regional disparities, in fact. So on various fronts this has to be done. Moreover, the farmers, marginalized section farmers, I am talking up especially of them, and small farmers should be given a sufficient opportunity to supplement their agriculture income while participating in other productive jobs. Merely launching some schemes and thinking that it would happen automatically or people would join this one, no. Government officials visit every village and they tell the benefits of such things to the affected families or people, and wherever possible government should help them through cooperatives and others, financially and technically both. So this way things could be possible. Women literacy is another factor that need to be emphasized. Women are still so many women are not literate. Still more than 30% women in India are not literate. That has to be achieved, that has to be done. Female health should be brought into focus so that maternal mortality rate could be reduced. Similarly, primary health by increasing funding on primary healthcare, improving primary healthcare facilities and other health facilities, efforts should be made to reduce infant mortality rate and other deaths that are caused due to the lack of infrastructure, that is due to the presence of poor infrastructure, health infrastructure. Portable drinking water facilities, clean environment, promoting self-help group, and empowering women this way. All such things need to be done. Say only then will it be possible to in fact link economic development to human development. This way you should conclude the topic, and with this one we come to the end of discussion of this question. Thank you for watching this.